When it comes to David Adelman getting that interim tag taken off of him and becoming the next Denver Nuggets head coach, I am out for one major reason, and I'll tell you why coming up next. All signs point to David Adelman becoming the next Denver Nuggets head coach. So everything I'm about to say might not mean anything at all when it comes to the team and him getting that interim tag lifted off of him. And I will say this to start. I think David Adelman is an NBA-worthy coach, just not here, just not right now with this team and this roster. And the biggest reason as to why, it's Jamal Murray. It is Jamal Murray. And I started to think about this after hearing Jamal Murray's post-game comments when they lost in Game 7 to Oklahoma City and their season came to an end. And Jamal Murray, he went to bat for David Adelman. He said that he got the best out of that group after the strange way that the season started to end. 3 games before the season ended, they fired Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. And Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, guys stood up and defended David Adelman. But I just don't think he can be the Nuggets coach. Not if they want to get over this hump that is the second round now for the second straight year. You've been bouncing Game 7 of round number 2. And Jamal Murray's comfort level is what I'm concerned about. He's clearly pretty comfortable in the role that he plays right now, which is supposed to be the second best player on the team. He's supposed to be playoff Jamal. Did you see playoff Jamal in the postseason? Your answer is yes. We were watching different games because I did not. Outside of the 43-point night, I'll give him that. But he was inefficient. He was not effective. And when they need him the most, he scored 13 points in Game 7. And by the way, he's been spotted at Blackhawk playing blackjack the night after Game 6 where he supposedly had the flu. And you couldn't figure out whether or not he was going to play up to like 90 minutes before tip-off. But then after the game, he took his butt up to Blackhawk and gambled and had a few pops. This guy's just not taking it serious. He's too comfortable in his role. And no one's going to check him. Who checks Jamal Murray next year? It's not Nikola. It's just not who he is. Aaron Gordon tried it, and you remember that? Aaron Gordon trying to huddle up a group and Jamal waving him off. Clearly, Aaron's not going to get through to him. So who gets through to Jamal Murray? I thought Russell Westbrook might be one of those guys that could get through to him. That clearly didn't happen. Look at the season, how it ended, and all the things I just told you about Jamal Murray. And David Adelman, as good as a coach as he might be, and maybe there's a little tweak he can do on the offensive end that's different than Michael Malone, and that's a maybe. But how does he get through to Jamal Murray? And by the way, Michael Porter Jr. is not free and clear either. How does he get through to Michael Porter Jr.? Michael Porter Jr. seems pretty comfortable in the role that he has too. And now that both of those guys have been with Adelman, and off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure they've been with Adelman their entire careers. So why is a guy that now is just always the assistant, always the other guy in the room, now is going to tell Jamal Murray, you need to show up in shape? Why are you sick all the time? Nights going to Blackhawk in a playoffs, not the best look, my man. You're letting your teammates down. Is David Adelman going to tell Jamal Murray that? No. The answer is no. Is he even going to tell Michael Porter Jr., like, hey, man, you need to rebound more? Can you play a little bit of defense? Can you just try on the defensive end? No, he's not. It's just too much comfortability with that team. You need to shake some things up. People need to be worried about their dang jobs. That's when you're going to get the best out of folks. And I just can't do it. I can't have David Adelman come to Colorado, stay in Colorado, become the head coach, and just see Jamal and Michael skate by for another season in Joker's prime where they wouldn't win an NBA championship. That's the biggest reason I'm out on David Adelman. It doesn't have a lot to do with his basketball philosophy or who he is as a basketball mind. I think he's smart. I think he's brilliant, actually, when it comes to basketball. You don't make it to the level he's made it at without not being a very, very smart basketball mind. But in Colorado, I'm sorry, David, the timing just does not add up. You won't work with the Denver Nuggets. You will not elevate Jamal Murray. You will not elevate Michael Porter Jr. So why would he get the job? Why would the Cronkies want to hire a coach that's not going to take the next step with this basketball team? I think we all know why, because he's not going to cost that much dough. And that's a big priority down there. So comfortability, that's the biggest reason I'm out on David Adelman. I don't think David Adelman gets the most out of Jamal Murray, and I don't think he gets the most out of Michael Porter Jr. And why are we going to continue to chase our tail with those two players if the next coach can't do what the last coach couldn't do. That's why I'm out. Comfortability for Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Speaking of Michael Porter Jr., that's that same question, right? Just talked about it. How comfortable is he? Why would he feel any sense of urgency or pressure to perform and be a different player if it's the same coach rolling in here from the Michael Malone coaching tree? He wouldn't. He wouldn't, folks. That's the simple answer. And Michael Porter Jr. could be a name that's out there to be traded. Now, Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., if you're on Nuggets Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, do people still Snapchat? I don't know how that works. I'm old and washed. But the talk on social media amongst Nuggets fans is you got to trade Jamal. You got to trade Michael. You got to trade both guys and get a better bench and a starting lineup. Well, I've said this on the radio show, 10 to 2 over on 104.3 The Fan. Me and Cecil Lammy, you should check it out. The Nuggets are in a weird spot, but they're not alone. They're about one of 24 NBA teams that are above the first apron and flirting with that second apron, and ownership just will not play with that second apron because you're talking about a major, major fine in the luxury tax once you get there. So to do a deal this offseason, the Denver Nuggets not only have to find one of the less than 10 teams in the NBA that can make a trade and not have to match dollar for dollar, and then they have to find somebody that's willing to take on Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. Doc Rivers said something earlier this year that I just can't get out of my head. Doc Rivers was asked about the Denver Nuggets. And I don't know why. He was the coach of the Bucks, or is, and we'll see how long that lasts. But he said, you don't really know who anybody else outside of Nikola Jokic is on that Denver Nuggets team because they get the benefit of playing alongside Nikola Jokic. And he's 100% right. So if you're a GM, right, throw your GM hat on and you're not the GM of the Nuggets, and I'm the GM of the Nuggets, and I hit you up, right, and I'm like, hey, I got this Jamal Murray guy. He was the 7th overall pick. He was the second best player on a championship team, but we do owe him $210 million over the next 4 years. You down to take him? Well, you're going to answer that phone call, and if you don't hang up on me, you're going to go, well, what exactly does Jamal Murray do that I know? All right, he can shoot it a little bit. He's solid from the free throw line. He can create contact and finish through contact. Yeah, but he doesn't play more than 65 games. In fact, he's only done that twice over the last 6 years. That's worrisome. Doesn't seem to care all that much about basketball, at least it not being his number one priority. And as Doc said, who is he without Nikola Jokic? I'm not sure Jamal Murray is this giant asset that teams are going to be knocking on the door of the Denver Nuggets to go, what can I do to get 27 off of your hands? I don't think that's the case. Michael Porter Jr., on the other hand, who actually looks, he's looked differently at than Jamal Murray. You do the pecking order, and it tends to be Joker, Jamal, so on and so forth. I'd probably go Joker, Christian, Aaron, Jamal, Michael. That's how I'd put my pecking order. But if I were a GM and I had my GM hat on, not for the Denver Nuggets, I'd be looking at Michael Porter Jr. What his skill set is translates to 29 other basketball teams. He can shoot. He can stretch the floor. There's not many guys in the NBA that you're going to see that are going to make 5 or 6 3-pointers a night and keep his percentage at a clip above 40%. And that's exactly what MPJ has done. So I get it. Michael's frustrating and all he can do is shoot and he barely rebounds and he has no defensive ability. But man, shooting, and especially in today's NBA, that is a very, very big skill. So I think Michael Porter Jr. as an asset might be worth even more than a Jamal Murray. All right, so what can you get for a Michael Porter Jr.? Well, did you see the report that the Warriors are the favorite to land Michael Porter Jr. in a trade this offseason? A couple reasons as to why. They need shooters. Lost Clay, lost a couple of players that can stretch the floor. Michael can replace that. And for those of you that don't know, Michael Porter Jr. and Steph Curry have worked out in the offseason. This will be the 4th straight year that they're going to do it. Michael usually goes out to San Francisco. They do a bunch of shooting drills. When it first started, Michael said, I want to learn how he runs without the ball to create open space for him to take jump shots. Turns out he didn't learn much. But they continue to work together. And I think Steph might be somebody like, hey, want to go get somebody? Dude, Michael Porter Jr. in Denver there who I know can shoot it. But remember what I told you just a couple minutes ago. The Nuggets in that first apron, right under the second. Guess where the Warriors live? First apron, right under the second. So that means money has to match dollar for dollar, penny for penny. You know how you can do that and still get Michael Porter Jr. over on the Golden State Warriors? I can't wait to get the responses and comments on this one. You can trade Michael Porter Jr. to Golden State, and the Warriors in return can give the Nuggets back Draymond Green and Buddy Hield. And that works. Draymond Green's 35. Draymond Green can be a turd. I get it. I get frustrated with everything that Draymond Green does on the basketball court, except for when he choked out Rudy Gobert. I was cheering for that. But when he's on our team, that annoyance becomes awesome, right? You're getting in somebody's kitchen all up in their face, and you're on the Nuggets side of things. I'm going to ride with you, Draymond. And yeah, he's only got a year, 2 tops left to be that kind of player. But isn't that what we're looking for? Aren't we looking for another championship here within the next year or two to solidify who Nikola Jokic is, what this roster can be? So check that out. If that's the trade that goes down, Michael goes to Golden State, Draymond Green and Buddy Hield come back to Colorado. And again, this isn't my trade idea. This is the Warriors being the favorite, and I'm telling you the only way that it could work. Your starting lineups, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Draymond Green, and Nikola Jokic. You then have bench options of Buddy Hield, Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett, Deron Holmes. Do not forget about the rookie who got hurt in Summer League last year, but is a legitimate stretch forward and can shoot, finish in the paint on either side of the rim. And then if Peyton Watson ends up staying here, I'd love to trade Peyton Watson. I'm done with that experiment. But if he does end up staying here, you don't even have to ask him to score because he can't. He's a bad shooter. All you have to ask him to do is play defense, and that is something that he can do. So I'll tell you what, as crazy as it sounds, Michael Porter Jr. for Draymond Green and Buddy Hield, I think I'm down for it. I think I'm down for a little 2-year experiment before Draymond has to hang them up and see what they can do. You want some icing on the cake of that trade that could happen? You think Draymond Green's going to keep his mouth shut if Jamal Murray isn't doing his job? Heck no, he's not. Another guy, maybe the only guy that could be on this roster to hold Jamal Murray accountable and make him a better basketball player. Now that I'm talking about it more and more, I think I might love this idea. Nuggets Nation, what say you? Draymond and Buddy Hield for Michael Porter Jr. Would you do it? Or is it crazy and laughable? Tell me in the comments. I'll circle back, read and reply to as many comments as I can. While you're here, like and subscribe the show, the channel. Check out everything else we got going on. But this has been Dover on Denver, and now I'm done.